Our next question, it comes from another customer that's dealing with a significant revenue discrepancy between, I believe, their GA4's e-commerce purchase report and their own Google Ads report. So what they noticed is that the revenue attributed to one of their advertising channels in GA4 is actually much lower than what their Google Ads show. So like, this typically sounds like a common
Yeah.
question that we sort of get. There's the GA4 report and there's the Google Ads report. I saw the email and it did seem like a surmountable difference. So yeah, Andaru, what could be causing this?
Yeah, so this is like a question that's always been popping up since universal analytics, right? Since the GA3 debacle, basically. So it's a really good question. It happens all the time. If you look in the forums, in basically in Reddit and forums, and whatever platform or social media that accommodates GA4 questions, you'll always find these kind of questions always popping up here and there. It has always been like this ongoing issue integrating Google Ads and analytics, and always having this discrepancy. I mean, discrepancy will always happen, despite whatever. But sometimes it goes to a point where it's so huge, the gap is so huge that it becomes an issue, right? So the most the most important or easiest answer that I could give is basically, we know that Google Ads performs different calculations of the data when analytics does the almost a different way of processing and calculating data. Even if all of the underlying data is same, you could always see like differences between the conversion points, or maybe the revenue, or maybe even sometimes the landing pages are not collected exactly the same between uh, G4 and Google Ads. Yeah, basically because in the back end, how they collect the data, how they uh, process the conversion is basically different. So that's why you're kind of seeing all of these discrepancies. And so for when you're talking about a surmountable value, or like this huge gaps between the GA4 and Google Ads. So I think the easiest way to handle those things is understanding that these two platforms are meant for different functions, right? So they are two different tools for two different functions for your goals in your business, basically. So when you're talking about Google Ads, you're talking about campaign tracking. It focuses a lot of the campaign, it focuses a lot of the ads on placements and so on. uh, so it always revolves around conversions that has to do with campaigns, right?
Right.
So that's the main point of Google Ads. But when you're talking about Google Analytics, it focuses more on uh, insight attribution, basically. And so what kind of conversions, and we're talking about two things, like it could be product conversions, it could be marketing conversions that's being set up inside a website, and we want to know how people are actually going through the website, what else are they doing before they actually happen to click on a single key event or conversion, right? So that's what Google Analytics does. It wants to know in the very best way possible how people are utilizing your sites and how people are interacting with your key events or conversions. So those are like two different things. Yes, Google Analytics can track the campaigns that are implemented, but it's more of an attribution thing. It's so the key focus is actually the key events, the conversions itself, right? Happening on a site, where it's happening, and so on. But the campaign is basically the attribution on, yeah, which campaign actually contribute to that. In the other hand, Google Ads says it's really actually focuses on the campaign itself, right? So it says how are these campaigns performing, right? Are they actually contributing to conversions or not? But again, the perspective is way different to say like, yeah, we want these two platforms to have the same numbers. Yes, sometimes when the numbers are really, really high, like maybe above 20 to 30%, or maybe sometimes you can get like a 50% discrepancy. There are cases like that. So what we usually do is we actually have to look back, or audit back the tagging. Again, it's same as the first question. We have to make sure if the tagging is uh, the best in class first. Is it being implemented correctly? Uh, is every page being tagged in such a way? uh, are both the Google Ads tags and the GA4 tags are being implemented, and there's no
Mhm.
double tagging and such. So we need to see that first, and then we can come to the conclusion that yeah, it's Google's intermittent issue, or is it basically something that has to do with the implementation itself? Because there are also cases where uh, the attribution and campaign itself are misattributed, or the discrepancy happens because of some settings that are
Mm.
enabled. So one recurring issue is basically when you're using DV360 and you are setting up auto tag in DV360 and also setting up a YouTube auto tag in GA4. So when that happens, there's tends to be some issue in the attribution. So uh, when you're looking at, yeah, I want to see the display ads, how much conversion is it generating, and then it actually doesn't give you any numbers because uh, the ads from DV60 is being attributed as a, I think it's a either a CPC or organic. I think I forgot which one,
Ah,
but basically
yes.
it misattributes the DV360 ads as not display. But
Mm.
I don't know. Even the manual tags sometimes are overridden when that's the case. So what we do is we need to check those kind of things. Did you enable things that should not be enabled, or is the configuration correct? Did you actually uh, in Google Ads, let's say, did you set up the right conversions, or did you set up the campaign correctly? So those things need to be audited first before we actually have the the conclusion on why is that discrepancy so big. And yeah, basically, if the configuration is set up correctly, most of the time this discrepancy would be uh, we can push that to a minimum, basically.
I think just
Yeah,
separately,
yeah,
right? Like like last time when we looked at the UA Help Center, Universal Analytics Help Center, and where these sort of similar questions came up, the default answer would sort of be along the lines of expect there to be discrepancy of up to 20%. So
hmm,
for the current GA4 Help Center, as far as I know, there really isn't such a
yeah.
numeric
Oh,
discrepancy value, and maybe it's sort of the confusion for marketers right now, like what do I trust, how do I diagnose
yeah.
this? So yeah, how would you move from
Uh,
there?
so I don't know. I mean, GA4 is still very early in its. I mean, there are still a lot of things being added. Like let's say, just a few days ago, the BQ export just added some manual tagging for the data points. So again, it's slowly becoming a more robust platform. But yeah, we're still seeing the early days of GA4. So these things would probably go away in a like maybe the next iteration maybe of the updates and everything. So yeah, we'll wait and see for those updates basically.
Okay. So coming back to this customer's questions, if I could summarize it, it would be like understand that Google Ads counts it a certain way, GA4 will count it a certain way. Having said that, do diagnose your tagging that you have created from both of these platforms, and then see how big the discrepancy is. And also note though that at this moment there isn't really a set value of acceptable discrepancy that is being put out there by Google. Would that be correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool.
basically that.
Yeah, so I hope this is going to be sort of a practical answer to most of our customers. And just to remember that, these tools are different, even though they are both by Google, they are meant to actually complement each other. They're not actually supposed to replace one another. And that's currently it for today's first session. So thank you, Andaru, for sharing your insights, and thank you for anyone who is actually listening in. Thank you to my cat at the background. His face is actually there, but I don't know whether he can be seen.